ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। मज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपथकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्याय देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदम। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृद्यन्तस्तो भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। नस्तप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. 119.25. तत्र भगवान् व्यासपुत्रो यत्र क्षयागामतमानुनपेक्षा अलक्ष्यलिङ्गो निजलाभतुष्टो हृतश्च बालैरवधूतवेष. Tatra there Abhavad appeared, Bhagavan powerful, Vyasaputra, son of Vyasadeva. Yadra is as, Ichaya, one desires, Gam, the earth, Atamana, while traveling, Anapeksha, disinterested, Alakshya, unmanifested, Linga, symptoms, Nijalabha, self-realized, Tushta, satisfied, Vrita, surrounded by, Cha, and Balai, by children, Avaduta, neglected by others, Vesha, dressed. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. At that moment there appeared the powerful son of Vyasadeva, who traveled over the earth disinterested and satisfied with himself. He did not manifest any symptoms of belonging to any social order or status of life. He was surrounded with women and children, and he dressed as if others had neglected him. Purport. The word Bhagavan is sometimes used in relation with some of the great devotees of the Lord like Shukadev Goswami. Such liberated souls are disinterested in the affairs of this material world because they are self-satisfied by the great achievement of devotional service. As explained before, Shukadev Goswami never accepted any formal spiritual master, nor did he undergo any formal reformatory performances. His father Vyasadeva was his natural spiritual master because he heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from him. After this, he became completely self-satisfied. Thus he was not dependent on any formal process. The formal processes are necessary for those who are expected to reach the stage of complete liberation, but Sri Shukadev Goswami was already in that status by the grace of his father. As a young boy he was expected to be properly dressed, but he went about naked and was disinterested in social customs. He was neglected by the general populace, and inquisitive boys and women surrounded him as if he were a madman. He thus appeared on the scene while traveling on the earth on his own accord. It appears that to the inquiry of Maharaj Parikshit, the great sages were not unanimous in their decision as to what was to be done. For spiritual salvation there were many prescriptions according to the different modes of different persons, but the ultimate aim of life is to attain the highest perfectional stage of devotional service of the Lord. As doctors differ, so also sages differ in their different prescriptions. While such things were going on, the great powerful son of Vyasadeva appeared on the scene.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances on
Hare
the Shishila Prabhu.
Krishna, Pranjal Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Amit Prabhu, Danda Pram, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhu, can I, Prabhu, read one or two words because
Yes, Prabhu.
actually I have exams. Just
Yes,
I
Prabhu.
will just read.
You go.
Thank you, Prabhu. Tam tam dvaj tam dveshta varsham sukumar pada karoru bahva amshukapola gatram चार्व आयताक्षुणस तुल्य कर्ण शुभ्र आननं कम्बु सुजात कंठम Tam him Dveshta 16 Varsham years Sukumar delicate Pada legs Kara hands Uru thighs Bahu arms Amsha shoulders Kapola forehead Gatram body Charu beautiful Ayata broad Aksha eyes Unnas high nose Tulya similar Karna ears Shubhru nice brows Ananam face, Kambu conch shell, Sujata nicely built Kantham neck. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This son of Vyasadeva was only 16 years old. His legs, hands, thighs, arms, shoulders, forehead, and other parts of his body were all delicately formed. His eyes were beautifully wide, and his nose and ears were highly raised. He had a very attractive face, and his neck was well formed and beautiful, like a conch shell. But a respectable personality is described beginning with the legs, and this honored system is observed here with Sukshudev Goswami. He was only 16 years of age. A person is honored for his achievements and not for advanced age. A person can be older by experience, but not by age. Sri Shukadev Goswami, who is described herein as the son of Vyasadeva, was by his knowledge more experienced than all the sages present there, although he was only 16 years old. निगूढजत्रुं पृथु तुङ्गवक्षसम् आवर्तनाभिं वलिवाल्गूधरं च दिगम्बरं विकीर्णकेशं प्रलम्बबाहुं स्वमरोत्तमाभम् Niguda covered Jatrum collarbone, Prithu broad, Tunga swollen, Vakshasam chest, Avarta world, Nabhim navel, Vulgo stripped, Udaram abdomen, Cha also, Dikambaram dressed all by all directions, naked, Vaktra curled, Vikirna scattered, Kesham hair, Pralamba elongated, Bahum hands, Su Amar Uttama, the best among the gods, Krishna. uh, Abham Hugh. Translation and puppet by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His collarbone was fleshy, his chest broad and thick, his navel deep, and his abdomen beautifully striped. His arms were long and curly hair was strewn over his beautiful face. He was naked and the hue of his body reflected that of Lord Krishna. His bodily features indicate him to be different from common men. All the signs described in connection with the bodily features of Shukadeva Goswami are uncommon symptoms, typically of great personalities according to physiognomical calculations. His bodily hue resembled that of Lord Krishna, who is the supreme amongst the gods, demigods, and all living beings. श्यामं सदा पिव्यवयोऽङ्गलक्ष्म्य स्त्रीणां मनोज्ञं रुचिरस्मितेन प्रत्युत्थितस्ते मुनयः स्वसमेभ्यस्तल्लक्षणज्ञा अपि गूढवर्चसम् Shamam, blackish, Sada, always, Apivya, excessively, Vyaya, age, Anga, symptoms, Lakshmya, by the opulence of Strinam, of the fair sex, Manaha, Gyam, attractive, Ruchira, beautiful, Smitena, smiling, Prayutitaha, stood up, they, all of them, Munaya, the great sages, Swa, own, asanebhyaha, from the seats, that those Lakshanagyaha, expert in the art of physiognomy, api, even Gudha Varchasam, covered glories. Translation and puppet by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. He was dark and very beautiful due to his youth. Because of the glamour of his body and his attractive smiles, he was pleasing to women. Though he tried to cover his natural glories, the great sages present there were all expert in the art of physiognomy, and so they honored him by rising from their seats. सविष्णुरातो सविष्णुरातोत्थिथय आगताय तस्मै सपर्यां शिरसा जहार ततो निवृत्तः अबुद्धः स्त्रियोर्भकः महाशने सोपविवेश पूजितः स हे Vishnu Radha, Maharaj Parikshit, who is always protected by Lord Vishnu, Adithaya Thai, to become a guest, Gataya, one who arrived there, Tasmai, unto him, Saparyam, with the whole body, Shirasa, with bowed head, Ajahara, offered obeisances, Tataha, thereafter, Nivrittah, ceased, he, certainly, Abuddha, less intelligent, Striya, woman, Arbakaha, boys, Mahashane, exalted seat, sir, he, Upavivesha, sat down, Pujitaha, being respected. Translation and puppet by Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Parikshit, who is also known as Vishnu Ratha, one who is always protected by Vishnu, bowed his head to receive the chief guest Sukadeva Goswami. At that time, all the ignorant women and boys ceased following Srila Sukadeva. Receiving all respect from all, Shukadeva Goswami took his exalted seat. On Shukadeva Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narad, and a few others stood up, and Maharaj Parikshit, who was glad to receive a great devotee of the Lord, bowed down before him with all the limbs of his body. Shukadeva Goswami also exchanged the greetings and reception by embracing, shaking hands, nodding, and bowing down, especially before his father and Narad Muni. Thus, he was offered the presidential seat at the meeting. When he was so received by the king and sages, the street boys and less intelligent women who followed him were struck with wonder and fear. So they retired from their frivolous activities, and everything was full of gravity and calm. Okay, thank you, Prabhu, for allowing me to read. Now I have to leave. I have to study for exam. What else I have to do?
Thank you so much, Prabhu Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vanchakalpatru Vishchakrapasandava Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhi Vaishnave.
Sakapatra Kripa Sindhupya Vacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Text number 30. Sasamvritastatra mahanmahiyasam brahmarषिराजार्षिदेवार्षिसङ्गाय व्यारोचतालं भगवान् यतेन्दुर् गृहक्षतारानिकराय परिता Saha Sri Sukadev Goswami Samvrita surrounded by Tatra there Mahan great Mahiyasam of the greatest Brahma Rishi, the saint among the Brahmanas, Raja Rishi, saint amongst the kings, Deva Rishi, saint amongst the demigods, Sangai, by the assemble of Vyarochata, well deserved, Alam able, Bhagavan powerful, Yata as, Hindu the moon, Graha planets, Riksha heavenly bodies, Tara stars, Nikarai by the assemble of Paritaha surrounded by. Translation. Shukadev Goswami was then surrounded by saintly sages and demigods, just as the moon is surrounded by stars, planets, and other heavenly bodies. His presence was gorgeous, and he was respected by all. Purport. In the great assemble of saintly personalities, there was Vyasadeva, the Brahma Rishi, Narada, the Deva Rishi, Parashurama, the great ruler of the Kshatriya kings, etc. Some of them were powerful incarnations of the Lord. Shukadev Goswami was not known as Brahma Rishi, Raja Rishi, or Deva Rishi, nor was he an incarnation like Narada, Vyasa, Parashurama, etc. And yet he excelled them in respects paid. This means that the devotee of the Lord is more honored in the world than the Lord himself. One should therefore never minimize the importance of a devotee like Shukadev Goswami. Text number 31. Prashantamashinam akuntamedasam munim nripo bhagavato vyupetya pranamya murdna vahita kritanjalir natva gira sunritayan vaprichat. Prashantam, perfectly pacified. Ashinam, sitting. Akunta, without hesitation. Medasam, one who has sufficient intelligence. Munim, unto the great sage. Nripa, the king. Maharaj Parikshit. Bhagavata, the great devotee. Abhyupetya, approaching him. Pranamya, bowing down. Mudna, his head. Avahita, properly. Kritanjali with folded hands, Natva politely by words, Gira Sunritaya in sweet voices. Anva Pritchad inquired. Translation. The sage Sri Sukadev Goswami sat perfectly pacified, intelligent and ready to answer any questions without hesitation. The great devotee Maharaj Pariksit approached him, offered his respects by bowing before him, and politely inquired with sweet words and folded hands. Hmm. Purport. The gesture now adopted by Maharaj Pariksit of questioning a master is quite befitting in terms of scriptural injunction. The scriptural injunction is that one should humbly approach a spiritual master to understand the transcendental science. Maharaj Pariksit was now prepared for meeting his death, and within the very short time of 7 days, he was to know the process of entering the kingdom of God. In such important cases, one is inquired to approach a spiritual master. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problems of life. One who does not know how to put questions before the spiritual master has no business to see him. And the qualification of the spiritual master is perfectly manifested in the person of Sukadev Goswami. Both the spiritual master and the disciple, namely Sri Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit, attained perfection through the medium of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Sukadev Goswami learned Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from his father Vyasadeva, but he had no chance to recite it. Before Maharaj Pariksit, he recited Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and answered the questions of Maharaj Pariksit unhesitatingly, and thus both the master and the disciple got salvation. Yes, Prabhu, I think he was 16 or less. I don't remember. Yes, where is Lebohang Prabhu and Shubham? Text number 32. Parikshiduvacha aho adya vayam brahman satsevya kshatra bandhava kripaya titi rupena bhavad vistirta tirtaka krita. Parikshituvacha, the fortunate Maharaj Pariksit said, Aho, aha, adya, today, vayam, we, Brahman, O Brahmanas, Satsevya, eligible to serve, the devotee, Kshatra, the ruling class, Pandava, friends, Kripaya, by your mercy, Atitirupena, in the manner of the great in the manner of the great, Bhavad, be by your good self, Tirtaka, glorified for being places of pilgrimage, Kritaha, done by you. Translation. The fortunate King Parikshit said, O Brahmana, by your mercy only you have sanctified us, making us like unto place of pilgrimage, all by your presence here as my guest. By your mercy we, who are but unworthy royalty, become eligible to serve the devotee. Purport. Saintly devotees like Shukadev Goswami generally do not approach worldly enjoyers, especially those in royal orders. Maharaj Prataparudra was a follower of Lord Chaitanya, but when he wanted to see the Lord refused to see him because he was a king. For a devotee who desires to go back to Godhead, two things are strictly prohibited: worldly enjoyers and women. Therefore, devotees of the standard of Shukadev Goswami are never interested in seeing kings. Maharaj Parikshit was, of course, a different case. He was a great devotee, although a king, and therefore Shukadev Goswami came to see him in his last stage of life. Maharaj Parikshit, out of his devotional humility, felt himself an unworthy descendant of his great Kshatriya forefathers, although he was as great as his predecessors. The unworthy sons of the royal orders are called Kshatriya Bandhavas, as the unworthy sons of the Brahmanas are called the Vija Bandhus or Brahma Bandhus. Maharaj Parikshit was greatly encouraged by the presence of Shukadev Goswami. He felt himself sanctified by the presence of the great saint, whose presence turns any place into a place of pilgrimage. Text number 33. Yesham samsmaranat pumsham sadya shutyanti vaigraha kim punardarshana sparsha padasaucha sanadibi. Yesham of whom samsmaranat, by remembrance, pumsam of a person, sadhya instantly, shudyanti cleanses, why certainly, griha all houses, kim what, punaha then, darshana meetings, parsha touching, pada the feet, saucha washing, archana dibi by offering a seat. Translation. Simply by remembering you, our houses become instantly sanctified. And what to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your holy feet, and offering you a seat in our home. Purport. The importance of a holy place of pilgrimage is due to the presence of great sages and saints. It is said that sinful persons go to the holy places and leave their sins there to accumulate. But the presence of the great saints disinfects the accumulated sins, and thus the holy places continue to remain sanctified by the grace of the devotees and saints present there. If such saints appear in the homes of worldly people, certainly the accumulated sins of such worthy enjoyers become neutralized. Therefore, the holy saints actually have no self-interest with the householders. The only aim of such saints is to sanctify the houses of the householders, and the householders therefore should feel grateful when such saints and sages appear at their doors. A householder who dishonors such holy orders is a great offender. It is enjoined therefore that a householder who does not bow down before a saint at once must undergo fasting for the day in order to neutralize that great offense. Text number 34. Sannidhyate mahayogin patakani mahantyapi satyo nashyanti vaipumsham Vishnoriva suretara. Sannidhyat on account of the presence, te your Mahayogi, a great mystic, patakani sins, oh patakani, mahanti, invulnerable, api in spite of, sadhya, immediately, nashyanti, vanquished, by certainly, pumsham of a person, Vishnu, like the presence of the personality of Godhead, Iva, like Sura Itara, other than the demigods. Translation. Just as the atheist cannot remain in the presence of the personality of Godhead, so also the invulnerable sins of a man are immediately vanquished in your presence, O saint, O great mystic. Purport. There are two classes of human beings, namely the atheist and the devotee of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord, because of manifesting godly qualities, is called a demigod, whereas the atheist is called a demon. The demon cannot stand the presence of Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. The demons are always busy in trying to vanquish the personality of Godhead, But factually, as soon as the personality of Godhead appears, either by his transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes, paramphilia, or variegatedness, the demon is at once vanquished. It is said that a ghost cannot remain as soon as the holy name of the Lord is chanted. The great saints and devotees of the Lord are in the list of his paramphilia, and thus as soon as saintly devotee is present, the ghostly sins are at once vanquished. That is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. One is recommended therefore to associate only with saintly devotees, so that worthy demons and ghosts cannot exert their sinister influence. Text 35. Api me Bhagavan Prita Krishna Pandu Shuta Priya Paitra Paitrisvasheya Prityartam Tadgotrasyatta Bandava Api definitely may unto me Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Prita, pleased, Krishna, the Lord, Pandusuta, the sons of King Pandu, Priyaha, dear, Paitra, in relation with the father, Svasaya, the sons of the sister, Priti, satisfaction, Artham, in the matter of that there, Gotrasya, of the descendant, Atta, accepted, Bandava, as friends. Translation. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is very dear to the sons of King Pandu, has accepted me as one of those relatives just to please his great cousins and brothers. Purport. A pure and exclusive devotee of the Lord serves his family interests more dexterously than others who are attached to illusory family affairs. Generally, people are attached to family matters, and the whole economic impetus of human society is moving under the influence of family affection. Such deluded persons have no information that one can render better service to the family by becoming a, a devotee of the Lord. The Lord gives special protection to the family members and descendants of a devotee, even though such members are themselves non-devotees. Maharaj Prahlad was a great devotee of the Lord, but his father Hiranyakashipu was a great atheist and declared enemy of the Lord. But despite all this, Hiranyakashipu was awarded salvation due to his being the father of Maharaj Prahlad. The Lord is so kind that he gives all protection to the family members of his devotee, and thus the devotee has no need to bother about his family members, even if such family members are left aside to discharge devotional service. Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers were the sons of Kunti, the paternal aunt of Lord Krishna, and Maharaj Parikshit admits the patronage of Lord Krishna because of his being the only grandson of the great Pandavas. Text number 36. Anyata te vyaktagater darshanam na katam nrinam nitaram riyamananam samsiddhasya vaniyasha. Anyata, otherwise, te, your, avyaktagate, of one whose movements are invisible, darshanam, meeting, naha, for us, katam, how, nirnam, of the people, nitaram, specifically, mriyamananam, of those who are about to die, samsiddhasya, of one who is all perfect, vaniyasa, voluntary appearance. Translation. Otherwise, without being inspired by Lord Krishna, who is that? Otherwise, how is that you have voluntarily appeared here through you, though you are moving incognito to the common man are not visible and are not visible to us who are on the verge of death? Purport. The great sage Shukadev Goswami was certainly inspired by Lord Krishna to appear voluntarily before Maharaj Parikshit, the great devotee of the Lord, just to give him the teachings of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. One can achieve the nucleus of devotional service of the Lord by the mercy of the spiritual master and the personality of Godhead. The spiritual master is the manifested representative of the Lord to help one achieve ultimate success. One who is not authorized by the Lord cannot become a spiritual master. Srila Sukadev Goswami is an authorized spiritual master, and thus he was inspired by the Lord to appear before Maharaj Parikshit and instructed him in the teachings of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. One can achieve the ultimate success of going back to Godhead if he is favored by the Lord sending his true representative. As soon as a true representative of the Lord is met by a devotee of the Lord, the devotee is assured a guarantee for going back to Godhead, just after leaving the present body. This happens. This, however, depends on the sincerity of the devotee himself. The Lord is seated in the heart of all living beings, and thus he knows very well the movements of all individual persons. As soon as the Lord finds that a particular soul is very eager to go back to Godhead, the Lord at once sends his bona fide representative. The sincere devotee is thus assured by the Lord of going back to Godhead. The conclusion is that to get the assistance and help of a bona fide spiritual master means to receive the direct help of the Lord himself. Text number 37. अतः पृच्छामि संसिद्धिं योगिनां परमं गुरुं पुरुषस्येह यत्कार्यं म्रियमाणस्य सर्वथा अतः therefore पृच्छामि beg to inquire samsiddhim the way of perfection yoginam of the saints paramam the supreme gurum the spiritual master purushasya of a person iha in this life yat whatever karyam duty mriyamanasya of one who is going to die sarvata in every way. Translation: you are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Purport: unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a householder. Generally, a fashionable materialist engages a so-called spiritual master without any profit. The pseudo-spiritual master flatters the so-called disciple, and thereby both the master and his ward go to hell without a doubt. Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple because he puts forward questions vital to the interest of all men, particularly for the dying man. The question put forward by Maharaj Parikshit is the basic principles of the complete thesis of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Now let us see how intelligently the great master replies. Text number 38.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavar Pranam, or Srila
Oh, Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Mother.
Samir Prabhu, how long you have this reading session?
Few minutes, Prabhu. We are almost at the end.
Okay, because no one of us, even Pranab Prabhu, you don't have the Zoom Premium.
Ah, okay.
So we need you as host, huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, finish. I will, when you finish, then just write me, okay? I sit with
Yes,
Sundar
Prabhu.
Gopal here, okay? Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Haribol, few minutes, Prabhu. Text number 38. Yat shrotvayam ato japyam yat krartavyam nribi prabho smartavyam bhajaniyam va bruhi yadva viparyayam. Yat whatever shrotavyam word hearing ato thereof yapyam chanted yat what also kartavyam executed nribi by the people in general prabho o masters smartavyam that which is remembered Bhajaniyam worshipable, va either, bruhi, please explain, yadva, what it may be, viparyayam, against the principle. Translation. Please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. Text number 39. Nunam bhagavato brahman grihesu grahamedinam na lakshayate hyavyastanam api godohanam kvachit. Nunam, because Bhagavata of you who are powerful, Brahman, O Brahmana, grihesu in the houses, grahamedinam, of the householders, na, not, lakshate, are seen. He, exactly, avashtanam, staying in, api, even, godohanam, milking the cow, kvachit, rarely. Translation: O powerful Brahmana, it is said that you hardly stay in the house of men long enough to milk a cow. Purport: Saints and sages in the renounced order of life go to the houses of the householders at the time they milk the cows early in the morning and ask some quantity of milk for subsistence. Oh, we cannot have milk. A pound of milk fresh from the milk bag of cow is sufficient to feed an adult with all vitamin values, and therefore sages and sages live only on milk. Oh, how can we live on milk now? It's horrible. We we can only take water. Even the poorest of the householders keep at least 10 cows, each delivering 12 to 20 quarts of milk. Oh, so much milk. And therefore no one hesitates to spare a few pounds of milk for the mendicants. It is the duty of the householders to maintain the saints and sages like the children. So a saint like Shukadev Goswami would hardly stay at the house of a householder for more than 5 minutes in the morning. In other words, such saints are very rarely seen in the houses of householders, and Maharaj Parikshit therefore prayed to him to instruct him as soon as possible. The householders also should be intelligent enough to get some transcendental information from visiting sages. The householder should not foolishly ask a saint to deliver what is available in the market. The householder should not foolishly ask a saint to deliver what is available in the market. That should be the reciprocal relation between the saints and the householders. Text number 40. Shutavacha evam bashita prishta saragna shlakshana gida pratyabhashata dharmagno bhagavan padarayani. Shutavacha, Sri Sutta Goswami said, evam das bhashita, being spoken, prishta, and asked for, saha, he, ragna, by the king, slakshanaya, by sweet, gira, language, pratyabhashata, began to reply, Dharmagna, one who knows the principles of religion, Bhagavan, the powerful personality, Padarayanai, son of Yasadeva. Translation: Sri Sutta Goswami said, the king thus spoke and questioned the sage using sweet language. Then the great and powerful personality, the son of Yasadeva, who knew the principles of religion, began his reply. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport on the first canto, 19th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, appearance of Sri Shukadev Goswami, end of the first canto. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Haribol. Haribol, Haribol. Okay, next time we start canto 2. Today no Siksastakam and other prayers, because there is no one to read. And we need to start the Zoom for Sundar Gopal Prabhu. If you want to join from the link. Haribol. Thank you, Prabhu, for joining. See you later.